Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Fortnite in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the new Drum Gun. We're going to get this one in just before Season 5 launches, but I have a feeling that this one is going to be influential for every season that it's included because it's a very strong weapon and it seems to be yet another shotgun alternative that Epic Games decided to add into Fortnite. However, this one also appears to be a rifle alternative, so it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of weapons in Fortnite right now, and very fun to use, mind you. All of the gameplay you're seeing here in this episode was recorded live, or streamed live more accurately, at mixer.com/drifter. I stream on Mixer just about every day, so if you want to see some live in-depth sessions, you should go ahead and check out the link down there below in the description. But let's get to the stats. The drum gun damage will be 26 for the green one and 27 for the blue one, or as it's much easier to think about, roughly 25 damage per shot, or 1/4 of your normal health per shot. This is a fairly high amount of damage for what is technically a submachine gun and a weapon that fires so fast, but it uses medium bullets instead of light bullets, and comparatively it kind of falls in between the TAC SMG and the blue assault rifle. The tactical SMG, if purple, will deal 20 damage per shot, the drum gun 27 if blue, and the blue assault rifle will deal 33 per shot, so it sits comfortably in between those two, and in my honest opinion it kind of feels like maybe the blue AR and the purple TAC SMG went to Vegas one weekend, got married, got drunk, and 18 years later the drum gun just popped onto the scene. Like most weapons in the game, hit scans at least, it'll deal 2x damage for headshots, so a green drum gun will deal 52 damage to the head, and a blue one will deal 54 damage to the head, or roughly 2 shots will kill a person with 100 health. Pretty easy numbers to remember, pretty chunky numbers too. However, I would like to add a word of caution that the damage drop-off is fairly steep, and long-range hits will only deal about 14 to 15 damage depending on which weapon you have and how far away they are. You don't have to be that far away before you're going to start noticing the damage drop-off. It's truly designed for up close, but you can still use it at long range and you can still get some hits at long range, so it's not terrible like that. One of the other nice things that it has is a very large 50-round magazine, so you have a lot of sustained fire. That is just a huge ammo capacity for a submachine gun, and you can just hose for a very, very long time. I think it's very effective at sustained fire, and it's better in squads than it is in solos, because you can have a squad mate continuously suppress an enemy who's trying to build with this bad boy. And the drum gun hipfire is pretty tight as well. Maybe not as tight as the TAC SMG, maybe not as good as an assault rifle at long range, but very competitive with both of them. We're going to go ahead and load up our no-skin warrior so we can take a look at shots to kill. If you're early game and you run across an enemy that has no shields, it'll kill in 2 headshots or 4 body shots. Seems like a lot of shots because I know a lot of rifles or higher tier weapons will kill in 1 or 2, but it's not very much considering how fast this weapon is going to shoot. About a mid-game enemy with 50 shield, 100 health is only going to be 1 more headshot to kill at 3 or 2 more body shots to kill at 6. These are more like assault rifle numbers, pretty standard for the game of Fortnite. And finally, a late game enemy will only take 4 headshots to kill. 8 body shots is a little bit much. The gap has kind of grown there. It's become more significant, but the 4 headshots to down somebody, or maybe just mixing up head and body shots, you'll find that this weapon is chunky no matter what stage of the game. The rate of fire is 540 rounds per minute, which makes it faster than the light machine guns or auto rifles. This is a very, very fast firing weapon, which also means that it's going to have high DPS. The drum gun DPS for the blue one is 243. That is very similar to the tactical submachine guns. It's pretty similar to the blue TAC SMG, very slightly behind the purple, and it's very high. The DPS is going to be higher than the suppressed pistol, higher than the gold scar. It's going to be higher than the overall for the burst rifles, maybe not for the first burst, higher than the minigun, higher than the light machine gun. It is a very, very high DPS and should be respected. When it comes to structures, this gets a little bit more complicated. It'll deal 22 damage to structures if it's green, or 23 if it's blue, and that's slightly better than average DPS when you consider the rate of fire, but per shot it's not very efficient. The rifles, the burst rifles, the LMGs, and almost everything else is going to hit structures for more damage per shot, but they're also likely to have a smaller magazine and not be shooting as fast. So it's not a super efficient way to bust structures, but it does bust them. It's very, very doable in that capacity. There's only 2 tiers. It's green and blue, very simple. Neither of them are particularly hard to find. I found one in just about every single game that I played, and tiers have very, very minor changes on bloom, on recoil, damage, and reload time. We've already gone over the damage. The bloom and recoil are so minuscule I'd have to zoom in 15 times to show you, so let's talk about reload instead. The drum gun has a slow reload time, and I do feel that's fair because the magazine capacity is huge and the sustained fire element is there. If it had a fast reload time, it would pretty much be broken. The green drum gun is going to reload in 3.15 seconds, and the blue drum gun is going to reload in a little bit faster at about 3 seconds. However, both of these are slow, and you probably won't notice much difference between the two. Most of the time, when I run out of drum gun ammo, I'm going to swap over to a rifle, an SMG, shotgun, something else, because reloading at mid-fight is not going to be very conducive to good gameplay, and that's a problem for me as a guy that's played shooters forever. I'm used to guns that reload super fast, so if I'm missing 10 bullets, I'll want to reload before the next fight, and it gets me killed more often than it should because I should not be doing that. So don't make my mistake, and if you're mid-fight with the drum gun and you've already wasted all your ammo, just swap to something else. This weapon does have some unusual, we'll call them ballistic properties. It does not have a first shot's accuracy, kind of like the tactical SMG, yet the suppressor machine gun does, and most of the rifles do. So no matter how still you sit, no matter how long you wait or how patient you are, there are no first shot's accuracy on the drum gun. That being said, it does have a very tight hipfire box or bloom box. It's pretty good in general, but if you want to stand still and crouch, you can get it to being very, very competitive with most of the rifles or with the tactical submachine gun in this game. I have found that if you fire it while jumping or completely run around and spray with it, it does get a little bit unwieldy. It's a little bit bigger than, say, the TAC SMG and a little bit bigger than what you would want, but still very, very functional for those crazy close quarters combat that you would be using it in. And I find that the bloom overall competes with rifles and tactical submachine guns. It may not be as good as a TAC SMG for up close, and it may not be as tight as a rifle for far away, but it can do either one. You can definitely spray people down hipfire with this weapon, no problems. I'm sure you've had it happen to you half a dozen times. And if you crouch and take your time, you can laser people very effectively at medium range and sometimes get some oddly lucky bloom hits long range with this gun. You're not going to deal a lot of damage, but you can still get hits. So it's perfectly acceptable to throw away your rifle to take a drum gun or throw away your SMG to take it. It kind of does everything. The actual recoil per shot's pretty minimal. That's the actual amount of kick you're going to get on your gun. Very, very minimal and very controllable like most other weapons in Fortnite. Back onto that Swiss Army knife analogy, the drum gun is surprisingly usable at all ranges and in all situations. I can get hits long range enough to be significant. I can get hits at medium range very well. I can use it up close to spray people down. I can use it to bust bases no matter what they're made out of. I can use it to take down packages. I can use it for suppressing fire because the magazine's big enough to continually suppress somebody that's trying to hide. I can go for precision headshots, for pure spam. I can use it as a rifle alternative, a shotgun alternative, a submachine gun alternative, probably not a sniper or explosive alternative, but I can use this gun just about anywhere. There's not really a place that I'm going to tell you the drum gun is bad. There's some places where it may be subpar, or some other weapons might do a little bit better, but the drum gun's very functional. However, I think it only excels in medium range combat. There's this sort of awkward medium range where the TAC SMG isn't quite as good because you've got some damage drop off, and your rifles you're going to want to move with, but then you won't get your first shot's accuracy. It's really, really good in medium range, maybe medium close. Close is okay. A lot of people like to use it up close to just spam down, but I find that shotguns do overall outperform it, especially a good shotgun user. There's nothing quite like that getting that instant headshot damage. It's also not the fastest or most efficient base buster, but the big magazine makes that effective in squads. Per shot, you're going to deal less damage. However, given the rate of fire in the large magazine, you will have enough total damage to bust the base. It's just, you're going to burn your ammo kind of quickly and a little downtime when you reload, but in a squad, very, very good for base busting. I found the drum gun, however, to be slightly fluky. Maybe my tracking is bad. Maybe I've been visiting home. I've had almost no internet for close to a week now, so I'm coming back and trying to get back into it. Maybe my aim is off. Maybe I'm off. But I find that sometimes it doesn't hit up close like it should, and sometimes it doesn't hit long range like it should. Other times it's an utterly disgusting laser, though that might just be the nature of Fortnite and how bloom in general works, but it's not as consistent as shotguns or rifles or dual pistols. Maybe I need to practice on it, maybe you guys can correct me down there in the comments, but it is a little bit random from time to time, and that part I don't like. However, my overall assessment on the drum gun is that it is an amazing weapon and almost always worth picking up. You can trade this out for your rifle, you can trade this out for your shotgun, you can trade this out for your SMG or your base buster. It complements, it's a good secondary weapon to just about anything. There's no reason to not have a drum gun in your kit unless you've got a whole bunch of amazing stuff. It really, really is an excellent weapon, and I would encourage all of you to try it. Guys, that's all for this episode of In Depth. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.